Hey folks. I'm just playing around with I'm using a new way of going live. So I'm playing around with it a little bit and I just want to check to make sure that it's actually showing up where it's supposed to be showing up. So while we're waiting for folks to join us, just say hi in the chat box and tell me where you're tuning in from and why it's important for you to be here tonight. You know, we yay, it is working. Um it's such a crazy time because on one hand we have many of us have more time than we normally do. Hi Nanette. And at the same time our level of distraction is in some ways higher than it's ever been. So it's this weird paradoxical time of having more physical time but less like spoons, less bandwidth. So I really am happy that you're tuning in, and I'm using this new platform. So I hope it's going okay for you guys over there. I'm just sort of learning my way around it right now. So it's exciting. We'll learn together. But if you're just joining us, tell us where you're from and why you chose to join us tonight. What's important about this? I'm really excited to talk to you all as folks are coming in about ways of working with the moon cycle in your business. This is one of those things that I've been doing forever, and it's just such a part of how I innately work that it's taken me many years to kind of, I guess, come out of the broom closet and share it with you folks. And I started sharing it with my clients probably about 5 years ago, maybe, and they love it. And it's just part of what I do. And I wanted to share it with you. Hi, Katie. Katie knows. Katie's been in some of the circles that I've done for my clients. So we're going to get started. Let me go on over to my notes. And again, if you're just joining us, tell us where you are and why this is important for you. I think I can. Let me just see. Okay, I think I can. I'm not sure. I'm learning this tonight. So it's kind of cool, but you can see folks on the bottom. I don't know if I have to, I don't know. Okay. We'll play with this another time. But let's get started. I invited you, if you were joining us, to bring a candle and a crystal. If you don't have a candle or a crystal, I have lots of them for you. And I already started my full moon work, which you can sort of see behind me before you guys got here. So I have some crystals, and these are some of my favorites. These sit on my day-to-day altar, and I have a little candle in case you don't have one. And whether or not you brought a candle, if you brought a candle, now's a really good time to light it along with me. We'll light them together. If you didn't bring a candle, that's okay because I got one for you. Um, and I'm going to light this one for me and you and everyone else joining us. So take a second and just steady yourself. And as I light candles, any candles really ever, what I'm always thinking about is the women that came before us in our lineage, our literal lineage, and our lineage as women who lit candles in circles under the new moon, under the full moon, in circles just like the circles that I love creating and being a part of. And I think about women who lit fire, made fire happen together in order to heal, in order to turn inwards, in order to support each other, in order to connect and make magic, in order to talk war and to create plans for peace. So, whenever I light a candle, I think about all the women who came before me who also lit flames in this ritualized way. And that's always the way that I open a space. So, with that, I invite you to take a second just to let your eyes float closed. Taking 3 deep breaths. and just letting yourself settle into your seat, into your body, letting yourself calm your breathing. It's so funny, we probably spend more time now than ever with ourselves in one spot. And yet, there are so many distractions taking us away from ourselves. So, one of the things that I love about working with the moon is that it just gives me an invitation to slow the hell down and to take a few deep breaths and to reconnect with myself. So, taking a minute here to really just let yourself slow down and be present. Maybe you want to shrug your shoulders up to your ears and let them go a few times. Maybe you want to twist back and forth a little and loosen up your back and your shoulders. Maybe you want to do a couple of pelvic tilts and kind of warm up your spine, give your hips a little movement. Many of us sit a lot more than we used to right now. So, to just taking a second to become present in your body and enjoy your body in whatever way feels right. You might take a second to like rub your own hands, or one of my favorites is my jaw gets really tight during the day. So, giving your jaw a little rub. Part of the beauty of working with the moon is just the gift of learning to become present and still and comfortable with who we are and where we are. And then, as you're ready, I want to give you a little bit of background. For those of you who are new to my community, welcome, first of all. Thank you for being here. For those of you who are new or young to working with the moon in your business, the cycles of the moon in your business, I want to give you a little bit of background about why this is so important to me and why I work it into the support that I give my clients. The cycles of the moon offer us a roadmap to dropping into ourselves to find our lined, guided path. They offer us a structure, themes, wisdom, and intention for building lives that we love, in which we remove ourselves as the single most powerful obstacle in our way, which we are. You know that, right? Working with the cycles of the moon teach us to love and accept both the light and the dark. They teach us about cycles and phases and removing judgment and imbalance from our thinking patterns. They teach us about cyclical cyclical patterns, and that one part of the pattern isn't necessarily good or bad. They just are what they are. When we work with the moon, I really think of the new moon and the full moon. The new moon is when the moon is dark, as kind of a reset button and a time to reflect, a time to start a new cycle, a time to let go of what didn't work the last time we sat in this spot and refocus on new goals or intentions and concentrations. And I use crystals and candles to create an intentional space and amplify the energy that I'm creating and sending out into the world. So for me, lighting a candle is very much opening a space. It's like declaring a space sacred and really bringing myself down to a focal point where I can be present. And the crystals are amplifiers. And so I really love working with them because I feel like they're kind of like a shot of caffeine for my intentions and for my energy and the work that I'm doing. They help to create more energy behind the things that I'm already sending out into the universe. The reasons that I do work with the moon in my business, and that this is such a piece of how I grow my business, how I focus on my business, how I analyze and process and evaluate in my business, is that working with the moon gives me this built-in time and space to pause, to reflect, to breathe, to recalibrate or rebalance, to make sure that my schedule is aligned with my priorities, needs, and focus, and to reconnect with my intuition and nurture my magical practice. You're about to hear all the dogs start barking because my husband just rolled up. So I apologize in advance for that. That's kind of just part of being present for anything I do at any given time. Working with the moon and making spaces like this gets me out of autopilot. It gives me space to reassess and refocus on my current priorities instead of staying stuck in reactive mode, which is so tempting. Love me some reactive mode. And in that place, unconsciously letting my focus get set for me rather than by me. On the new moon, which was in Taurus on April 22nd, I led folks in this same kind of space through a boundary setting meditation. And those of you who were present set some goals or intentions in your business to move towards over the 2 weeks between the new moon and the full moon tonight. So if you were with us then and you have those or remember them, just bring them to mind quickly. And if you didn't and you do want to look back over that, feel free to scroll down on the page and it's still up there. I did it as Facebook Live, so it's still up there. And jot down whether you did them with us on April 22nd or not. Just take a second to jot down, or if you didn't bring pen and paper because I didn't remind you to, just think about all of the celebrations in your business and you can add personal life in the last 2 weeks since the new moon, whether they relate to your intention or if you had an intention or not. What do you want to celebrate? What do you want to acknowledge? What were the wins? And if you want to put some of them up in the chat box, please go for it. Hi, Heather. Yay. I love you guys. Hi, just me. It's just you. So celebrations, wins, accomplishments from the last 2 weeks. And I love to say there's nothing too small to put on this list. So anything that you really want to acknowledge. And one of the reasons that I love working with the moon, with the full moon, is that it is a time to really be intentional about what happened, what I'm celebrating, what wins I had. And honestly, if I don't make that space for myself, I and probably most of you are really likely to just see the things that we didn't do, the things that didn't happen, the ways that we failed, the disappointments. That's really kind of a reflexive way of thinking for most of us. So working with the full moon, I know that there's at least one point in the month where I'm going to look at what I'm celebrating, what I accomplished, and I'm going to flex the muscle of seeing those things and being in gratitude and acknowledgement for the positive things and not just the places where I fell short. So right now you're just writing down or bringing to mind some of the things that you want to celebrate and acknowledge from the last 2 weeks since the new moon. And then the next piece that I want you to write down or think about is, what do you need over the next 24 hours? What would feel nourishing to you? And this again might be in your business. It might be, the other day something came through from our credit card processor, and it was like just the email made my eyes cross, and it was like, something's not in compliance. Please spend 6 hours figuring out what it is and fixing it. And just reading the email, and I was like in the weeds already. Just reading the email made my eyes want to cross, and I wanted to cry. And so I thought, you know what? Mm-mm. And I sent it to my amazing assistant and I said, can you please deal with this? I can't. And she said, absolutely. Hi, Yvonne. She said, absolutely. And that was it. That sounds like a silly thing, but it's like, I'm so tempted to carry all the weight myself. I'm so tempted to do it all myself. And I really have to remember that's what's nourishing for me is to delegate and to remember that the things that I don't absolutely have to be doing, I can ask for help with. And that was a really big deal. And like later that afternoon, I just saw an email come in from the merchant credit card processor saying, great, thanks for taking care of this. And I was like, oh my God, she's so amazing. You guys might have seen on my personal page, I posted this blast out where I was like, yay, Sarah. So think about over the next 24 hours, what do you need? What would feel nourishing to you? And the reason that I asked that tonight is that this full moon is in Scorpio. Scorpio can be a bite you in the ass sign, especially if it sneaks up on you and you're not being conscious of it. The full moon in Scorpio is a time that you can feel like you're forcefully being shown all of the crap that needs your honesty. You can't hide from yourself under the beam of Scorpio. And this is really important because, the way that I work with women in growing a business, it's as much about growing on a personal level as it is about marketing and ideal clients and strategic plans and social media visibility. It's really about self development. And self development, and one of the foremost cornerstone philosophies of magic is know thyself. And know thyself means not just like, I know who I am, but it means understanding your shadow. It means understanding the parts of you that you're not so proud of, or that you're a little bit embarrassed about, or that you try to deny or shame. I wrote a couple posts about this. I think I put them up in the scheduler, so they might only come out. I think it's coming out next week. There's a post coming out on shadow where I own something that was a really personal, mortifying story. And I decided to tell it to you guys because it illustrated a point about shadow. So that's coming up on this page. I think I scheduled it for next week. But from Chani, who is an amazing astrologer, and I get all her emails about the signs that the moon is in. I want to read you something that she says about the Scorpio new moon. She says, Scorpio unearths. No cover ups can withstand these waters. No need to be nice. Here, there is no striving for perfect. Only honesty is necessary. Scorpio hungers for real exchanges. Every yearning, every emotion, every story of how you sacrificed yourself and came to regret it, struggled with it, and reclaimed yourself from it or not, satiates this sign, at least momentarily. This full moon comes at a moment in the year when most of us have spent enough time alone to know our own secrets, flaws, and imperfections a little or a lot better. Maybe too well. Maybe we feel like we've had enough digging in the dirt of our own psyches. Maybe we don't need a full moon like Scorpio to unearth any more, deepen anything, or reveal another extreme emotional state. But alas, here we are. Interpersonal dramas tend to get exaggerated when they can't be worked out in real life. When the physiological benefits of being together aren't accessible, it's easier to spin a tale about how your family, friends, coworkers, or lovers are fed up with you. Why isn't that one friend responding on the group text? Making horrible decisions for themselves. Why weren't they wearing a mask in that photo? Or maybe have been abducted by aliens. Why has the speed at which they usually answer my texts changed so dramatically? We need to be relentlessly kind to the parts of ourselves that fear being abandoned, betrayed, or forgotten when we are isolated, unsure, and unable to find a new normal. Scorpio pulls back the layers of an issue, sometimes exposing bones that are best left covered with flesh, skin, and clothing. Easy does it with this lunation. So be aware of rawness and love it. Be aware of fear, emotions gone wild, desire, longing that comes in the form of comparison, and be gentle with yourself right now, the way that you would with an overtired child. So I want you to think again about your work, about your business, about your professional life. What emotions or thought patterns are ready to be seen and loved and released? What are you being called to be really honest about in your business, in the way that you show up, in the relationships that you have, in your leadership form? What's ready to be seen? Is it fear? Is it jealousy? Is it desire cloaked as competition? This is what you're being called to make time to be honest about with this full moon in Scorpio. So, my questions for you tonight are: what's in shadow for you right now that is thrashing to be seen, loved, accepted, and released from shadow? What do you need to forgive yourself for and let go of? After we end tonight, I encourage you to take yourself and any crystals that you want to clean and charge and go sit with your face in the moonlight if that's possible where you are. If it's not, remain in a dark room with your lit candle for a while and just absorb the light as a stand in for the moon. Oh, I love looking at your needs and your wins. Yay. I love it. I love it. I love it. So this is one of the things that's really, really important to me in my business because between In Arms Coaching and Pity Posse Rescue, I have had to get so honest about who I am and what I'm afraid of and what makes me uncomfortable and where I have failed and where I screwed up and what parts of me are not working so well in terms of the goals that I'm setting for myself. And none of what I've built has been possible without being honest with myself. And again, I picked a story for you that was something that I really don't talk about very much because it was mortifying for me, but it really helped me meet a shadow that I've spent the last year or two really nurturing and um, getting to know. And as a result, it hasn't bitten me in the ass nearly as much because I've been so much more accepting of it. I mean, I even started by seeing it and saying, "Oh, this is a thing about me. This is a thing that is really important for me to look at, and I've been denying about myself and saying isn't true." And it was true. There were pieces of it that were very true, and it was only when I started to accept it and work with it that it stopped biting me in the ass. So my my invitation for you on this Scorpio full moon in your business is to really look at where you're being called to be super honest about who you are, about what you want, about what you don't want, about what you're really rocking, about where you're not really showing up the way that you want to be. And you want to set that differently for the rest of the month. Oh, Kim, yay. Yeah, Kim, get that shadow. There she is. She's coming to meet you. She'll meet you halfway. Sounds like she came to meet you more than halfway. I love your comments. Yay, Nanette. Awesome. Yes, some you time. Yeah, so many of you are saying me space and time. I was talking with a client today, and she's so unbelievable. She's such an amazing, beautiful, brilliant human being, and she was just running on fumes, and she was so upset, and she was crying, and she had way too much on her plate. And I said, when's the last time you were alone? And this is something that we periodically forget. We forget how to refill our own cup. So I invite you to remember how to refill your cup. One of the strategies that we came up with for her together was for her to create a sort of toolbox of ways that she refills her cup in COVID times, because obviously her ways of replenishing her own cup are different now. She has limited options, they're different options. So we decided to create for her a toolbox for how to replenish her own cup in COVID times. And whether that was a list in a journal or an actual jar with pieces of paper folded up and ideas in it that she could pull when she was upset, she really had to get honest with the fact that she was so depleted that the things that she really wanted to be doing, she was getting less and less. They were making her crazy. They were running her ragged when this was really stuff that she loved. And it was all such a celebration, but she wasn't able to enjoy it because she wasn't able to replenish her own cup. So yeah. Any questions or comments? What are you taking away for yourself from this? Not sure how much of a delay there is here. It's such a cool new thing. What are you taking away? What are you going to do with your full moon tonight? What's one of your replenishing the cups in COVID times? I know for Nanette, it involves a bottle of red wine. Yeah. Yeah. And this is additionally, this is a really great way to kind of become present and start to figure out, on the next new moon, which is 2 weeks from now. This is a really wine and dogs. I love you, Nanette. This is a really great place to sort of clear out and refocus so that on the new moon, when we come back together, if you guys love this and we'll do this again, to be in a place where you can set new intentions at that new moon. So it's kind of like sweeping out, before you put things back in. you want to clean the space. And we're cleaning the space. And part of cleaning the space is celebrating and acknowledging what's happened and being really, really honest about what you need. And that's what I see you guys doing. Yay. Awesome. Kim, I'm sending you such a big hug. Yeah, so great ideas for replenishing in COVID times in the box. I love you all. I'm so glad you were here tonight. Thank you for helping me to hold this space. I think I shared this with you in the new moon. This really benefits me because it helps me to, when tell you guys that I'm going to be on here celebrating the new or the full moon, it helps me to stick to that because I told you that I would be there. So I'm way less likely to be like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm not going to do it. Because I'm like, no, they're going to be there. I told them I'd be there. So thank you for letting me provide this service to you tonight. And thank you for helping me to be accountable to myself and making time in my business to really worship at my own altar and replenish my own cup. I really appreciate it. I consider this such a give and take. And when you show up for one of these, you're really helping me be more intentional about how I replenish my own cup and spend my time. So thank you so, so, so much. Um, if you look at when the new moon is next in 2 weeks, I will be here that night. And if you see this notice go out and you want to share and invite other women or men, this is not a women only event. Please share it and invite other women, business owners, and entrepreneurs, and creatives, and luminaries, and visionaries. And I just really thank you for being here. So have a good rest of the night, and I'll see you on Facebook.